Mrwebi and Nomgcobo Jiba have until end of play today to explain to President Cyril Ramaphosa why they should not be suspended from the National Prosecuting Authority. And as promised, my colleague Nickolaus Bauer, who's been following developments where that story is concerned, is in studio with us this morning. Happy Friday, Nick. A refreshing Friday morning to you.
Happy
may not
Wednesday.
be. Thank you. I did indeed. It may not be a happy Friday for some. Is it not obvious in terms of what the president should do? Why does he need reasons from the pair?
Well, look, essentially we are following legal process on all sides of this argument now. I had a discussion with Nomgcobo yesterday, as you saw played in my package a little bit earlier. And I put this to him and said, essentially, aren't you drawing out a legal process where many analysts argue that the writing is on the wall?
Right.
Your clients, Mrwebi and Jiba, may well have been readmitted to the role of advocates, but the Supreme Court of Appeal did not strike down any of the other judgments found against your clients, specifically referencing their incompetence to fulfill their positions at the National Prosecuting Authority. And as such, why wait until this deadline to give the President reasons as to why your clients shouldn't be suspended? Why not just fall on your own sword and maybe try and work towards restoring the integrity of the NPA? He was of the opinion that regardless of whatever situation South Africa is in, regardless of whatever the President is trying to do in trying to restore the integrity of the NPA, his clients, Mrwebi and Jiba, both have their rights, and as such, they should be afforded them. They've not been found, well, they have been found guilty of certain things in a court of law, but as such, this particular legal argument, there's been no wrongdoing found as of yet, and they intend to go through the whole process, which, well, could easily last anything from 12 to 18 months.
Sure. Let's play out possible scenarios. What happens if the president says this is the end of the road? What happens if he says, okay, maybe you have some reason to keep your jobs?
Well, essentially, it's not down to the president to just, unless he's got serious reason to do so. It wouldn't be able for him to just wield his presidential sword and lop off their heads, so to speak. They would need to follow a process, and this is what it's about. It's about trying to establish whether or not they believe they have reasons they shouldn't be suspended pending the outcome of this inquiry. If they provide those reasons, perhaps the president finds, okay, well, this reasoning is fairly good, carry on. I doubt that will happen. What you more than likely will see happening with the way these things have gone over the past even decade or so when it comes to commissions of inquiries and fitness to hold office, you could have them provide reasons by the end of the day. The President has a look at those reasons and then as such says, well, you two, you're suspended pending the outcome of this inquiry into fitness to hold office. This is going to be the presiding officer. And then we wait and see. Is it going to be another public public showdown like the President is having with the ousted SARS Commissioner Tom Moyane? And as such, I mean, from a PR standpoint, if Cyril Ramaphosa is trying to usher in this new dawn and clean up governance in state-owned enterprises and other government institutions besides SARS and the NPA, can he really afford another huge, big public spat? I'm not too sure he can.
And that is the question. You highlighted timelines a little bit earlier on in terms of this dragging out for quite some time. What happens in the meantime?
Well, as such, you speak to legal analysts, they'll say that if you follow this process down to a T, it's anybody's guess as to how long it can be drawn out. We saw in the SARS matter as well, Tom Moyane objected to the person that was going to preside over his disciplinary hearing, as such striking off former Constitutional Court Judge Kate Regan from presiding over that inquiry. That may well happen as well. Speaking to the legal representatives for Lawrence Mrwebi and Nomgcobo Jiba, Nomgcobo yesterday, he was of the opinion this could last anything from a year to up to 18 months. It's really, there's no steadfast timeline as of yet. And if you are looking at trying to restore the dignity of the National Prosecuting Authority, if this is going to be stretched out for another year where you don't have a permanent head of the National Prosecuting Authority, or at least somewhere fulfilling those positions that Jiba and Mrwebi have taken up and are in, what is it saying about your ability to properly turn the corner within these institutions?
Right.
We've also got to deal with the fact that Sean Abrahams has got a massive axe hanging over his head as head of the National Prosecuting Authority. Constitutional Court is going to be ruling on his appeal against a High Court judgment, striking down his appointment as invalid, because guess what? the person that came before him was also asked with a failed commission of inquiry, the one and only Nickolaus. It was the first day of his commission of inquiry into his fitness to hold office, and that folded, and he left his position under a dark cloud as well. So the National Prosecuting Authority, by any means, is not in a very good space. It needs to focus on its fundamental purpose, and that is to prosecute people who have stepped on the wrong side of the law without fear of favor. And at this stage, when you have senior people in these positions accused of complete incompetence or inability to actually fulfill their functions, what does it say about South Africa's crime-fighting ability?
And that's the question. Thank you very much, my colleague Nickolaus Bauer.